you ready? Are you?
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my full Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 5 Star Wars video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs, and obviously we only have one episode left. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We've got the Star Wars Rogue One prequel series and/or episodes coming really soon after this too. I'll be doing videos for that as well, along with all the other big Marvel and Star Wars series this year and next year too. Mandalorian Season 3 right around the corner. We're also doing a Disney Plus giveaway for memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just leave your favorite moment from the episode on the video. Everyone hoping that they saved all the really good stuff for the last 2 episodes. Careful for spoilers for the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll be talking about everything. We'll just start at the beginning and work our way through shot by shot, talking about WTF moments, Easter eggs as we go along. Starting with the opening scene, the episode starts with a really cool Darth Vader flashback to when he was still Anakin Skywalker practicing his lightsaber skills with Obi-Wan Kenobi during the prequels. Now, because of the way his hair is styled with the Padawan braid, that means that this is still closer to the events of Attack of the Clones. He didn't get the longer, different haircut until they got to the events of Revenge of the Sith. Even during the Clone Wars, when he lost the Padawan braid and Ahsoka became his Padawan, his hair changed again. So this is before Ahsoka became his Padawan. During the episode, there are several flashbacks like this to this same instance, their fight. And even though it is really cool to see, they want to use it to comment on Obi-Wan Kenobi's plan to use Darth Vader's weakness against him, his desire to win, to dominate every win. They also use a lot of these moments in their dialogue together to kind of foreshadow his eventual turn too, like this super aggressive nature that he has where he kind of begrudgingly accepts Obi-Wan's tutelage, thinking that he's won, but being tricked by Obi-Wan ultimately. They also want to foreshadow what their rematch is going to be like during the finale, because obviously they have to end the series with Darth Vader not going after Obi-Wan Kenobi again, not going back to Tatooine right after the events of the finale, because if he thought that Obi-Wan Kenobi was still alive, hiding out on Tatooine protecting Luke, he would have gone right back there. They revealed Darth Vader named Reva Grand Inquisitor, but it's all a misdirect because of the big twist at the end of the episode. The way that he waves past all her pleasantries saying that he doesn't care about any of that, that's also true. He doesn't care about that stuff to begin with, but also this is meant to foreshadow him knowing about everything that she was doing this whole time. You didn't think that I sensed what was going on the whole time, young Padawan. The funny thing about Darth Vader and the Inquisitors is that he uses all of them as his pawns, as his tools in his true goals. So even though they use it as a big WTF reveal in this episode, really he doesn't care about any of them. Obi-Wan is correct when he says Darth Vader only cares about me. Remember, even though Leia is with him, he doesn't know anything about Leia being his daughter yet, which is why he never mentions her during the episode. They bring back Hodge's character, reminding you that he's still a scoundrel with a heart of gold, Han Solo style, like, good business opportunities here, but this is also the only place for me to go, so I'm gonna throw my lot in with you completely. They might wind up justifying his inclusion in the finale by saying that he does something to help Obi-Wan Kenobi make Darth Vader think that he's dead, so that he's going to be safe on Tatooine. Some of this is a little bit of plot armor and just kind of stalling for time, like obviously they want to have the scene with Darth Vader arriving on the planet. So that's what the whole Lola plot is during the episode, trying to keep them from leaving the planet. When they say they only have a few hours left, that's also meant to be a reference to the end of the series, like we'll wrap this up in the next 2 hours. And yes, Roken is played by O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's real-life son. He looks just like him. He's never done Star Wars before, so he is meant to be a brand new character in the universe. As they pan around the room, they have a couple of R2 units. This one is slightly modified. I'm not sure what kind of droid this is specifically, but it's based on an R2 droid. There's a regular R2 droid later in the episode. Love all the shots of Darth Vader brooding, meditating during their hyperspace journey. He spends most of his time in states like this, just fixated on his anger, specific things, whatever his goal is during any particular moment. Mostly he's thinking back on Padme dying, the events of the past, or preparing for a specific fight or battle. In this case, he's headed to capture Obi-Wan Kenobi again and torture him for a long time, so he hopes. That's why he keeps flashing back to their fight scene. It's not meant to be Obi-Wan Kenobi's flashbacks, it's meant to be Darth Vader's flashbacks. But remember, because he doesn't know about Luke and Leia, he's only obsessed with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's been obsessed with him for the past 10 years. That's why during several parts of the episode, he makes references to the fact that he doesn't really care about what else is going on here with the path in this resistance here, with them trying to save the Force sensitives, because he literally only cares about Obi-Wan Kenobi. The actual planet, Jabiim, is actually a huge deep cut from the Clone Wars in the tie-in material. Obi-Wan Kenobi had some missions there during the Clone Wars. There's a ton of Arabesh writing on the walls of the cave here. If you speak the language or you think you've decoded some of these writings here, write them below in the comments. I believe it's meant to be the same idea as the Jedi names written on the walls of that other hidden room in previous episodes. Most of these writings are the names of other Jedi characters from the canon and from Legends material that they brought back into the canon. Like we saw Karan Horn's father's name in the other room. One of these would also probably have been written by Quinlan Vos. Remember, Tala said that pretty much everybody that passed through that room that wrote on those walls also passed through the halls of Jabiim here in this hangar bay. But the symbol here in the center is the symbol of the Jedi Order, and it confirms the phrase right below it reads, "The light will fade, but is never forgotten," and that's meant to be a reference to a couple different things. It's a reference to Order 66 and the Emperor killing off the Jedi Order, meaning that even though the Inquisitors, the Emperor, have been going after them, and they're killing lots of them, they're not going to completely kill the light side of the Force, they're not going to completely kill the Jedi Order. It will eventually survive in some way, and that's a reference to Luke Skywalker's eventual Jedi Academy, also with Grogu eventually being the future of the Jedi Order, even though it sounds like he's going to take things in a slightly different direction than what Luke Skywalker was doing. So the phrase is also meant to be a reference to Luke Skywalker, the original trilogy, to Leia, also to Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, because eventually, even though the light fades in him, like he turns to the dark side of the Force, becomes a Sith, eventually he redeems himself and tries to kill the Emperor. So even though the light side in him faded briefly, it was never fully forgotten. You see a whole bunch of lightsabers from former Jedi that have died in this box. Let me know if you think who these lightsabers belong to specifically. These are also traditional Jedi robes. Then they have this whole subplot with Reva hijacking Lola and forcing her to sabotage the facility, I think to create something for Leia to do during the episode, because otherwise she's just kind of sitting there waiting for them to escape. The whole subplot with her helping them escape is also just meant to foreshadow what she's like during the original trilogy. Love the way they set up some of these flashbacks though, when Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking about how Darth Vader isn't going to wait for prolonged siege. He doesn't have the patience for that. Then they literally show that happening during their flashback fight scene, and it's meant to be the same fight, just different parts of the fight. If you watch any of the Clone Wars episodes, this is a bit of a reference to Anakin Skywalker during those, because during those episodes, he will frequently ignore Obi-Wan Kenobi's orders and the Jedi Council's orders to just do whatever he wants, rush into any kind of problem that he thinks he's going to solve. It's like a core part of his character that he doesn't like waiting. Also, him fighting Obi-Wan on the best path for a Jedi during a battle, killing your opponents versus saving lives, is meant to foreshadow what he's going to do during Revenge of the Sith, killing Count Dooku and then turning to the dark side of the Force. During a lot of these Darth Vader and these Anakin Skywalker flashback scenes, you also hear a lot of Imperial-themed music and Imperial March-themed music from the original trilogy. Obi-Wan Kenobi taking charge here too, telling everybody what to do, how they're going to survive, is more of him finally accepting the call to action, acting more like the General Kenobi from the Clone Wars, the General Kenobi that Leia was talking about when she was asking for his help during the original trilogy, as opposed to the more broken version of the character that we met at the beginning of the series, where he's at his lowest point emotionally. They roll in with several squads of stormtroopers, purge troopers from Jedi Fallen Order, and they're using the Sith Inquisitor's Scythe ship. They're just calling it the Scythe ship in all the toys. The transport ships might look familiar because they also used those during The Mandalorian Season 2 when they went to capture Grogu later in the timeline. The whole thing with Bail Organa's message just felt kind of like a plot contrivance meant to help set up the end of the episode with Reva in the finale trying to use Luke Skywalker against Darth Vader again. Because during the message, Bail Organa specifically mentions Tatooine, Owen Lar's name, which Reva would have remembered, and this mystery child. Like, he doesn't say the name Luke Skywalker. But Reva will know that the child is connected to Obi-Wan Kenobi, someone who's really important, and another opportunity she could potentially use against Darth Vader to try and kill him again. You do notice during the scene, though, when he's watching the message, he plays with his beard again, the same way that Alec Guinness did during the original trilogy, just kind of mimicking his mannerisms, just trying to make his performance line up with Alec Guinness as possible. When Tala mentions she participated in an Imperial raid on Gorel, that planet was actually featured during a bunch of different Star Wars TV series, during Star Wars Rebels, the Clone Wars, during the original trilogy tie-in material, Han Solo had some missions there, during the Star Wars Forces of Destiny animated series, and the classic Star Wars Droids animated series. The way that Tala talks about it, she was there with the Empire after the events of Revenge of the Sith, when they were hunting other Jedi. When she talks about the Force-sensitive families that she went after that they captured, it's basically her referencing what the Inquisitors and Darth Vader did, capturing them, torturing them, then putting them in these stasis pods and using their bodies for weird Jedi cloning experiments, which are actually still playing out in the present day of the timeline during the Mandalorian series with Grogu. Darth Vader and the Emperor also kept these Jedi bodies in stasis as trophies, but they really also wanted to use them for experiments. A lot of you probably suspected what was really going on with the Reva character, that there was some big twist with her trying to go after Darth Vader or turning good. They confirmed that when Obi-Wan Kenobi is speaking to her through the blast door, possibly setting up her surviving in the finale. They explain how she knew that Darth Vader was really Anakin Skywalker. Obi-Wan Kenobi even calls this out, like they would have kept that secret. Darth Vader would have probably killed off anybody who had talked about that. They confirm our suspicions. She was that particular Padawan during the night of Order 66, and she says she only survived by pretending to be dead, but then they also tie this in with the reveal that Darth Vader knew the whole time that she was alive, that she was that Padawan, and just used her because he thought that she was useful, not because he was showing mercy on her. Remember, even though they're on the same side, Darth Vader does not care about any of the other Imperials. He doesn't care about the Inquisitors. So if a bunch of them wind up dying, he doesn't care about that. He'll just replace them eventually. Love the Order 66 flashback scene too, where they finally show you Anakin Skywalker killing younglings. It's actually way more graphic than I expected. It's a brand new scene too, because obviously it's a slightly older looking Hayden Christensen. You have to picture Grogu experiencing all this in just a slightly different part of the Jedi Temple. He would have been going through all this just like Reva went through it because he was doing the exact same thing during this period. But they explained during his flashback when Luke Skywalker was helping him remember the trauma is that he was saved by a couple of the other Jedi that used themselves as human shields against the other clone troopers that had come for them. So while Anakin Skywalker is busy killing these younglings here, you have to picture Grogu just nearby, getting ready to escape. I think we can expect something similar to this when we get to the Ahsoka episodes, which are going to happen later in the timeline. There'll be some kind of flashbacks, and we'll see Anakin Skywalker in the flesh, Hayden Christensen, doing scenes with a younger-looking version of Ahsoka. But obviously the big WTF reveal here is that she's secretly been plotting to kill Darth Vader in revenge for Order 66 for killing her friends, the other Jedi, the Padawans at the temple, this whole time, the past 10 years. But if there was a little bit of confusion about what's going on inside her head, she's still gone to the dark side. It's not like she's secretly been a light side Jedi playing a double agent this whole time. She still legit tried to torture Leia, a little 10-year-old girl. She admits to torturing and killing many of those other Force-sensitive former Jedi that we saw in the Amber in that room. So she turned to the dark side, and it was only her ambition to kill Darth Vader that kept her going. All the flashbacks of Obi-Wan Kenobi using that against Darth Vader, using his desire to win against him, is meant to be a mirror for Reva's storyline too. She was so fixated on killing Darth Vader that she was blinded to what was actually going on. Oh, he knew the whole time. But that explains why she wanted to become Grand Inquisitor, to be by his side, so to speak, so she could literally be in close proximity to him to give her an opportunity to actually kill him. Even though he's so powerful, she would have never been able to do it, even if he didn't see it coming, which he did. So just to clarify, Anakin Skywalker wasn't fooled by her when she was a Padawan pretending to be dead. He knew that she was still alive and just played her these whole 10 years. The scene of her using the lightsaber to open the blast door is meant to be a reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn doing the same thing in Phantom Menace. Also kind of reminding you Qui-Gon Jinn, oh yeah, we're probably going to hear his Force ghost at some point during the finale because they've been saying his name so many times during the series. I've already done a video all about Qui-Gon Jinn potentially cameoing on the series and why that would happen, what's going on with his character, and how his Force spirit is able to exist now, why it's a little bit different from being a Force ghost. So I'll post a link for that down in the description below. They have a huge battle scene here. Love the way that they are actually pretty accurate with the way they portray the Stormtroopers' skill level. They have several squads, but they barely manage to hit any of these people. Barely managed to kill any of these people either. It seems like one of the only people that actually winds up dying is Tala in that Ned droid. And that's because they purposefully stand in the line of fire to try and sacrifice themselves, allowing the others to escape. It's not because the Stormtroopers got a one-up on them. During this final part of the episode too, including the Darth Vader scenes when he lands on planet, most of this music is meant to be new, but inspired by John Williams' original trilogy classic music. Tala whips out a thermal detonator and says the classic phrase, "May the Force be with you." She's not meant to be Force sensitive herself, she was just meant to be an ally for the Jedi. But the reason that Darth Vader has their forces stand down is because he can sense what's happened through the Force. He can sense Obi-Wan's intention to surrender in order to protect the others. That's why they juxtapose this with the flashback about them fighting each other and all of Obi-Wan's lessons to him. He's trying to use what he knew about Obi-Wan Kenobi, what he knows about him, against him, the same way that Obi-Wan is trying to use everything that he knows about Darth Vader and his character against him. So just to be clear, even though Reva agrees to work with Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's really just using her to throw at Darth Vader to stall for time, and she's just using the situation to her advantage to get what she wants. She's not working with Obi-Wan Kenobi out of the goodness of her heart, and she doesn't care about saving any of the other Force sensitives. When he arrives on Jabiim and starts marching through the hallways, they start playing a little bit of the classic Imperial March theme song. Love the huge reveal here too, like they show how powerful he actually is in the dark side of the Force. He stops the ship mid-air from taking off. This is also meant to be a reference to a similar scene of him destroying another Imperial ship during the original trilogy era after A New Hope, after he learned that Luke Skywalker was really his son. There was a scene during the comics where he actually saves Luke's life from other Imperials without him knowing about it, but like he literally reaches out in the Force and destroys an Imperial ship before it's able to get him. Everybody will also probably remember that really iconic shot of the Force Unleashed of Starkiller doing the same thing, but with a giant Star Destroyer, like an entire Star Destroyer that he brings down with the Force. It's also meant to be a dark mirror for the scene of Yoda lifting Luke Skywalker's X-Wing out of the swamp in Empire Strikes Back, talking about the power of the Force, showing you how powerful Darth Vader really is. Even though technically, because there's still light side in him that he can't completely get rid of, he's not as powerful as he could potentially be. And if you don't remember from the prequel movies, or you don't remember the Clone Wars, Anakin Skywalker was meant to be way more powerful with a lightsaber than Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's why he's able to disarm him so quickly. The reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi is able to ultimately defeat him during that flashback battle is because Obi-Wan Kenobi is more of a work smarter, not harder kind of person, and Anakin Skywalker is that work harder person, like just dominate the fight, try to win as quick as possible. So they just want to show you that Obi-Wan Kenobi is wiser than Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. Also in the flashbacks, when he says he'll stay a Padawan, a learner, so to speak, until he overcomes this weakness of his character, it's meant to reference their eventual original trilogy fight on the Death Star in A New Hope. When Darth Vader says that he's done that, he's overcome that weakness, saying he's no longer the learner, now he is the master. Then I love the way this Darth Vader versus Reva fight plays out. We all knew it was coming at a certain point. Like, yeah, he probably saw this coming. He's way too powerful for her. During their actual fight, she's got no chance. Like, there's no way she's ever going to beat him. So he's vastly more powerful, just kind of playing with her the way that he toyed with Obi-Wan Kenobi during their first rematch in Episode 3. That's why the fight is meant to look a little bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi's first rematch with him. Like, it's not so much an actual lightsaber fight, it's really just him kind of stretching, just practicing a little bit. The scene of him force grabbing her lightsaber and splitting the two halves, wielding two, a couple times in the episode, is meant to be a reference to him using two lightsabers on Count Dooku during Revenge of the Sith. Him running her through the stomach is also meant to be a reference to her trying to run the Grand Inquisitor through the stomach the same way. Because literally right after this, he shows up to reveal their plan, like, oh yeah, we were playing you the whole time, I've been alive this whole time. Also confirming that they are preserving the timeline, because the Grand Inquisitor doesn't actually die till the events of Star Wars Rebels way later in the timeline. I was kind of hoping when they brought him back, they would bring him back with the special Sith eyes that you see during Star Wars Rebels. All the Sith armor that they wear too isn't just for show, it's meant to help keep them alive too, like Darth Vader survived the fight on Mustafar. So of course the Grand Inquisitor wearing all that Sith armor would also probably survive the same way that Darth Vader did. The scene of Obi-Wan given pause while they're escaping on the ship is meant to be a reference to the many different scenes in Star Wars where different characters, especially Leia for instance, say, I've got a bad feeling about this. Just foreshadowing Reva surviving like the Grand Inquisitor survived, using the knowledge of Luke Skywalker in this communicator against Darth Vader and the Inquisitor to try and get back at them and kill him again. So just to be clear, she hasn't turned good or anything, she's still fully a Dark Jedi, she's still using the events to her advantage to just try and kill him. But early prediction, something will happen during the finale and she will wind up surviving. They've been talking about doing Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2. So theoretically, if they did a Season 2, she would come back during that. I think the big thing here, though, is that they want to preserve the timeline, so ultimately Darth Vader will not learn about Luke Skywalker's existence. Something will probably have to happen that will make him think that Obi-Wan Kenobi is dead, so that he doesn't go right back to Tatooine and look for him again. So let me know in the comments, how do you think that they're going to pay off this final rematch scene? Where do you think it's going to happen? And how do you think they're going to prevent Darth Vader from fully learning about Luke Skywalker if it sounds like Reva's going to try and use knowledge of Luke Skywalker against Darth Vader again? If you spotted any other Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. My full Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 6 finale video will post next week just like normal. My Ms. Marvel Episode 2 video will post tomorrow morning. Everyone click here for my brand new Loki Season 2 first look breakdown and Kang Easter eggs, and click here for my brand new Thor Love and Thunder trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.